This is what I mean by poetry being alchemy. Because I started out looking for my monsters, looking for the shadow parts, the monster part, the dark parts, the unseen. And I found them in the way that I engage in relationship or used to engage in relationship, in the people pleasing, in the delusion, in the like losing myself, in the abandoning myself to be with someone. And then the next poem talks about the way that I want to be in relationship with someone, and it's not completely different. It still talks about the intensity, the desire for intensity, but it's no longer judging that part of me. It's no longer seeing that part, that desire, as something bad, something that's wrong with me. Hello, friends and strangers and people of the internet. My name is Eliah, and that is my friend Willy. He's snacking on a pretty big bone. It's not really a bone, it's just whatever. But yeah, I was just outside because I was feeling off, and going outside often helps with that. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've been that's just been where I am, or where I've been, like emotionally, somatically, whatever, mentally, spiritually. I don't know. I I feel like I go in and out of feeling very like connected and clear, or just light and not like kind of too bothered and even excited, into yeah, just excruciatingly just off, ew, icky states where I just feel like there's like so much stuck in me, and I'm so in my head, and it's just very hard to be a person. And I think I used to have all of these stories that my mind went to whenever I was feeling off. And I think more recently, it's just a lot of the time I feel like my mind, my system, whatever, has caught onto the fact that I very quickly, I don't know, not always, but so much more, so incredibly much more often and like more quickly than I used to, kind of see through the stories that my mind is making up about why I'm feeling bad or feeling off or dysregulated or whatever. And I very much like very quickly I'm able to kind of rip off the mask of that story, and kind of sometimes I don't know, like I take up the mask, but it doesn't help. There's nothing, there's no story. There's just ill and just inadequacy, and like very like even like pre-verbal, I think, feelings maybe that like like, by the way, I'm figuring all of this out as I'm talking. I don't think I have verbalized this in this way before, which is one of the reasons I like making YouTube videos, because it is similarly to poetry, which I intended this video to be about, a tool for introspection for me, like something I do that a lot of the time leads me to understand things about myself or about my situation or the world that I don't think I had that clear of a grasp on before writing or talking into, you know? But yeah, I actually want to just be kind of content with having managed to do somewhat of an intro, and not kind of bathe in the excitement of feeling eloquent. So much so that I lose myself in my words again and get confused all over again. Unless I've changed my mind, the title of this video is Poetry as Alchemy or Poetry is Alchemy. We'll see which one I'll pick. And it's just something I've been noticing, and I originally, I think I made a different video on a similar topic, but I haven't posted it yet, and I think, whatever. That's not important to you. What is important for you to know is that I've been writing poetry on and off since I was a teenager, and I guess maybe even, I don't know if that counts as poetry. I did write poetry as in kindergarten. It counts as poetry. Of course it counts as poetry. Anyway, so I think only in the last couple of years I have really begun to understand how helpful poetry is for me to be like in accessing my feelings and even feeling my feelings and just giving voice or image or form to sensations in my body and emotions and pain or whatever that oftentimes feels very, very hard to access, or that I'm only often able to access through stories, and that can be very limiting. And it's a lot of the time it means that I'm not really in my body, that I'm not actually feeling the feelings, but that I'm more so thinking about my feelings or trying to come up with solutions to not feel those feelings. And I think, yeah, in my experience and the more that I become like literate in my body's wisdom and other ways of being and knowing, just connected to my emotions and spirit and nature and whatever, the more I have been realizing that what an amazing tool, or like what an incredibly effective tool and activity, and honestly like magic writing poetry is for me. It is a way for me to actually be with and investigate my feelings in a playful and curious and like non-judgmental way, or less judgmental. I'm not sure if it's always non-judgmental, but it's, I don't know. It's I just love poetry. I think it is, for me personally, necessary, vital to my own healing and liberation. And this feeling, this sense has been mirrored or affirmed to me by an amazing, I can't believe that I get to call this person my teacher or mentor. I don't know if that's okay. I don't know. It feels that way. Leah Aveen, the author of Fieldwork. I'm going to put links in the description. But yeah, who also says that they believe that like poetry is vital to our liberation. I'm probably misquoting them, but yeah, I don't know. So I think that's enough of me kind of introducing what I'm trying to do. I don't know if I've really done that, but I brought 3 poems that I just wrote while sitting outside and like watching the river and the trees and the crows being like funny all around me, and people and dogs, and yeah. So I think I will start with the poem that I wrote last, because it is, I don't know, it is about the title of this video. And then I think the other 2 are more so, I feel like, examples of how poetry is a form of alchemy to me, like a form of alchemizing a pain, something that's stuck into, or like turning unseen things into seen, turning unknown into known, turning dark into light, and powerlessness into agency. And yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the poem that goes with the title, goes along with the title of this video. Poetry is alchemy. is when spirit flows through me, when everything that's off starts to make sense from head to toe and skin to knee. Just write what comes out, without force or direction, not striving for anything, least of all perfection. There is no reason to my rhyme, no specific place or time, just a dance out of rhythm between paper and pen, until I run out of words, so they can catch up and find me again. Yeah, so I feel like I talked enough at the beginning of this video. Yeah, so for the rest of the video, I think I'm not going to say too much about the poems. Maybe I feel like sharing a little bit of my kind of thoughts and feelings about this process, or explaining, I don't know, maybe I feel like explaining more what I mean by poetry being alchemy, or maybe I'll just decide that the poems speak for themselves and that the people who this video is for will, like, this will resonate with them already without me having to, yeah. I don't think poetry necessarily needs to be explained all of the time. Maybe we can just feel it, because poetry gives us the opportunity to say new things, to kind of escape the paradigm of how we know to frame things. Anyway, okay. You know what? I'm going to close the window because I feel like it's probably loud because there's the wind. Okay, let's just settle. You know what? I'm also going to take a sip of my lemon water. I don't know if I should be drinking lemon water in the evening because it's supposed to kind of be like, give you like energy. So I'm not sure if that's what I want right now. In the meantime, also, I figured out that this poem should probably be called something like Monsters or Monster. So, yeah. Anyway, let's do this. What am I running from? Which feelings are trying to make their way up to the surface? Which stories or mythologies? Which pains or wants or presences? Where is the magic? How do I become the lightness I'm seeking? How do I hold myself not knowing all that's there and fearing to find out? Where are the monsters? Will I recognize them as such? How do you tell monsters from home if we're most oblivious to what we've always known? These skeletons don't hide in closets, but in plain sight. But as we get older, we no longer sleep with the lights on at night. No more creepy shadows when everything is dark. No more monsters under beds that bite, just occasionally bark. I was never into hide and seek. I was much too good at it. I preferred dressing up and playing house, to be seen and heard, ideally by a loving spouse. I liked making up stories and blurring the line between your reality and mine. I guess I got a little too good at it over time, until there was nothing left apart from the rhyme. Scheming sounds a lot worse than people-pleasing. And I guess this Venn doesn't fully overlap. But maybe that's where my monsters are at. In the in-between space of hope and delusion. In allowing myself to live in confusion of where a shared reality is mostly based on fantasy. On stories that I tell myself to regulate my system, nervously waiting for a moment to kiss them. If only I try hard enough to be everything they need. Wrap myself around their legs, screaming, crying, please don't leave. Please don't leave me on my own where I can't tell up from down. I can't see my face without your reflection, without being told what you need me to be. So much so that when I look in the mirror, there's no one staring back at me. At least no one that I recognize. 3, 2, 1, ready or not. I'm coming to find you. Open heart, but firmly closed eyes. Yeah, so that's the first poem that I wrote, and I found it really helpful. I don't know. It was very, yeah, I don't know. Just sometimes when I write poems, there's even something that I feel like sometimes poems reveal something new to me that I wasn't aware of yet, and that like through kind of that being revealed to me, I get to start engaging with it. But other times, or usually, it's less about something completely new being revealed to me, but more about something that I've already known and thought and felt and probably written about many times being put in a different context, in a different light. Or it's also just being able to spend time with it. I think that's I think what I was talking about earlier, that like spending time with my feelings, with what is there, in a way that is accessible to me, because sometimes I do need to be making sense of my feelings in order to process them. And yeah, and like I think we all do to some extent. Like it's both, like embodiment is both body and mind, right? Like it's, I think Prentis Hemphill talks about embodiment as a process of becoming increasingly aware of one's emotions, felt sense, and I think maybe also habits and stuff. And then I think I have this quote pretty well memorized in my head. I think it goes, the more we can act both from our thinking and feeling, grounded in our own felt sense, the more we can say that we are embodied. And I think poetry to me is a very helpful, or like a very essential part of that, or a way that works very well for me. So yeah, I'm gonna read you one more poem, and then I think I think the first one was really, I started from, and I think that's, you can tell in the with the first poem, and that's a lot of the time I think those are the ones that start out as just journal entries, not really knowing that they're going to be a poem yet. Those are the ones that are usually like the most effective. It's kind of like, it's almost like when I stop intellectualizing my feelings and start kind of really embodying them, then poetry is just the natural way things come out. And like sometimes, like all of us, we do also have kind of concepts of poetry in our heads, right? We maybe like we have like memories of rhyme schemes or whatever, or like, I don't know, meter or whatever in our heads. So sometimes that can also get in the way of being in your body and taking you back into your head. But I think it can, I like to play with it. I think it's maybe like kind of like gender, right? It's like rhyme schemes or rhythm or meter, they're optional. Like the important part is the like being you, is the feeling, is the embodiment. And like the rhyme schemes, gender, whatever, it's optional. You can play with it. But you don't need to if you don't want to. I don't know. Yeah, so the first one, I think, yeah, you'll feel that, I don't know, you'll feel the difference. I think the next one already starts out like with the energy of, oh wow, oh my god, I mean, like, this is so cool that this just worked. I feel so much better. Okay. I should write more poetry when I want to feel like me. when my feet are struggling for ground and all I crave is to be found by someone who isn't scared of wanting me. Someone who's sure about being with me. Someone who doesn't flinch at my poetry, my heart. Someone who treats their own life like art. Someone with a character arc. Someone who's learning who they are and how to be. Someone just as scared as me, but equally willing to take the leap. Someone who can't help but always go deep. Someone to get lost with and in each other. For an evening or two and maybe another, but ultimately wants the same. To ride the waves and sail out to sea, but eventually return to shore, firm in their knowing that they are still them and I am still me. Yeah. I just through reading this, I feel like in my mind, like before I just reread them or read them out loud, in my mind they were about two completely different things. But they're not. It's just, I think, and this is this is what I mean by poetry being alchemy. Because I started out looking for my monsters, looking for the shadow parts, the monster part, the dark parts, the unseen, and I found them in the way that I engage in relationship or used to engage in relationship, right? Like how in the people pleasing, in the delusion, in the like losing myself, in the abandoning myself to be with someone. And then the next poem talks about the way that I want to be in relationship with someone, and it's not completely different. Like it still talks about the intensity, the desire for intensity, for getting lost in each other. But it's no longer judging that part of me. It's no longer seeing that part, that desire, as something bad, something that's wrong with me, right? And that's what I mean by poetry being alchemy. And I'm very glad that my poems made my point for me, because I couldn't have said it any better. But yeah, this is really fun. I'm glad I decided to trust my gut. And hello, please don't puke on my bed. Thank you. And like film this, even though it's like, should I? Blah. But this video turned out to show, like, I was scared that making this video was gonna take away from the poetry that I'd just written, was kind of turning it into something else that was no longer for me but for an audience. But it turned out to, I mean, now it is for an audience, but it's not without like merit for me. Like that's I love this because I got, it's like another ingredient in the magic potion that like really made it come together and made me realize and really kind of complete the spell, complete the transformation. Amazing. I love it. Yeah. I think I'm just gonna stop talking now because, yeah. Okay. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And I hope I will see you in the next one. Bye.